Tell me your name first.
My name is Cordell Crutcher.
You said you got shot 5 times at a restaurant.
Yes, I was a cook at a restaurant on 5th and Main Street.
New tonight, a Nashville man is holding tight to his family after being shot multiple times outside of work. Now, the gunfire started as he helped a woman who was being attacked.
They say no good deed goes unpunished. This is the story of Cordell Crutcher 2 years after the incident.
He opened fire. I was shot 5 times. One is on my lumbar spine, which is supposed to paralyze me. I have a colostomy bag. I got all 5 bullets still in me.
According to Metro Nashville Police, Crutcher was shot outside of the Mainstay restaurant on 5th and Main Street. For Cordell Crutcher, it was a moment where family is all he thought about.
Life hit me fast at that time. All I could think about was being there for my twins. Life just hit me, and I thought, I just want to live. How can I get myself out of this situation? Because he's finna shoot again.
Tell me about the day you got shot before you got shot. Was it any weird feelings?
Yes.
Like, did you have any?
Yes. That day, I was not even supposed to go to work that day. I got a phone call saying that someone had quit and they needed me. Well, what first thing made that day weird was I was doing 3 different jobs. I was a cook, I was a dishwasher, and I was an expo. My boss, the owner, he never stays at the job. He was there all that day. That was something that was weird to me. That day, I had on a good pair of tennis shoes, and another employee was like, "Man, you should go change shoes." I went out to my car, and a guy had broken into my car, and he was in my car at the time. Well, I screamed for help, and the lady called the police on me as if I was harassing this man, and it was his car. Those few things was like, it was just triggers to me that the day was going off. I spoke to my fiance 10 minutes before the altercation happened. We was mad at each other about something small. And I remember both of us just keep apologizing to each other, which is something that is weird because we might tell each other sorry, but we don't keep on going about it. It was like almost like a last conversation type of thing. Leading up to that altercation, my boss had spoke to me at the table, asked me for a raise, asked me to smoke a cigarette. I only had 10 minutes. I only had 10 minutes before I got off of work that day, and I don't know, my anxiety was high at the time. I didn't even want the cigarette. But as I went outside to smoke the cigarette, all of that occurred.
It's the simple things that Cordell Crutcher now needs help with.
Pull up your pants, like put socks on, like this is stuff that I'm lacking now, and I always had the ability to do.
What started as a normal day turned into a nightmare when Crutcher says he was outside of the Mainstay restaurant on Main Street in Nashville on a work break when he saw a woman getting attacked.
It was a life-changing event. Like, sometimes I ask myself, what could I have done differently? Did I do the right thing? Being downtown, I done had people be sarcastic and say, well, you put yourself in that predicament if you wouldn't have never been helping nobody.
So, how were you trying to help?
Well, once he drew his weapon, I pushed him out the way for everybody else where he wouldn't shoot. He was getting ready to shoot someone in the face. And
the guy took his gun out, he aimed it in between us and shot.
The moment is still hard to believe. Crutcher says the gunman didn't stop there.
I made my way into the street, and I remember being shot again. I remember hearing shots coming.
I pushed him out the way, and he fell to the street. As he fell to the street, he struck me in the leg first. I began to strike off and run. He shot me in the hip. As I was running, he shot me in both butt cheeks. He shot me directly in my rectum and traveled to my abdominal and left me with a colostomy bag.
So you helped a restaurant full of people, and nobody's helped you.
Nobody. God is helping me every step of the way. He's showing me that, first of all, I can't rely on man. I can't put my faith in man. Just because I did a good act don't mean the next person gonna have the same heart I have. The end of my sign says, It says shot 5 times on the job while helping someone in need. No, I need help. Please have the heart I have. That doesn't mean have a heart to come out your pocket and give me $1. That means have a heart to help somebody. We don't know the story behind the sign. Just like you had a heart to stop and hear what I had to say. You're advocating for me right now by saying, man, this man went through all of that and he ain't getting no help, but still he downtown helping people. Even in the midst of me not getting help, I'm still helping people. Because I'm telling people, be safe, be aware of your surroundings. Know that this can be you. This was my life. I was an employee. I even talked to the security guards down here. The police officers down here stop and give me hugs and say, man, keep doing what you're doing. Keep letting God use you. You doing something positive. You doing something right. I hear people say every day, God gonna bless you. That blessing has already came because I'm here and I'm able to speak. That blessing won't come in the form of money. That form won't come in the form of silver and gold. Sometimes that form comes in your heart being clear. Not only am I a hearer of his word, but I'm a doer of his word. It's hard to go downtown and tell people that I'm not asking for money. I'm only asking for you to stop and read the sign. Because sometimes the person holding the sign can have a bigger message for you than what you can see. Sometimes we don't know the people that's holding these signs. I advocate for the homeless. They think I'm homeless most of the time. And at the moment I am because we can't stay on campus. But it's a bigger blessing than knowing that God is blessing me according to his plan, his purpose, and his riches. Knowing that he is supplying all my needs. It feels good to wake up and I don't have to stress and go through anxiety and depression like I was. Being shot humbled me in a lot of ways. It taught me that first and foremost, God will sit you down when he's ready for you to. And I thank God for covering me one step at a time, one person at a time. Every individual that reads this sign, it does something to me. For kids to stop, no child that I know has walked past me and not read this sign. Proverbs 22:6 says, train up a child in the way they should go, and when they're old, they will not depart from it. I'm glad those kids are able to be trained in the way that they should go. That they are able to see someone in the help of need. I helped a lady. I haven't seen that lady since that night. I haven't talked to that lady.
How long ago did you get shot?
The 24th of next month will make 2 years since this been.
Where was the restaurant? Was here?
Yeah, it's on 5th and Main Street called Mainstay.
Did they help you out?
No, and I'm going through the workers' comp and the disability part right now. Like, this has been a struggle, man. It's been a process. I don't try to look forward to it and depend on it because it's taking so long. Like I said, I had 2 twin daughters right after this situation.
Crutcher was reminded of the life he was fighting for. With twin babies due in just 2 months, holding on to a blanket given to him by his 8-year-old son. Family is what he says he lives for.
He look at me like Superman half the time. He wakes up every morning and put a cape or a costume on and he's ready to go play. And to know that he can't get up and go do that with me, like, it shuts him down.
Life still goes on. I was the sole provider for my family. My fiancé at the time caught cancer. We separated since then because depression is, when you go through childhood trauma and you're able to trauma bond with somebody, you're able to put your problems on them and you become, what I say, codependency, and you'll become an enabler for them or they're an enabler for you. It's harder for that relationship to stay in contact when you're dealing with trauma. And by us dealing with so much trauma right now, it's like on one side you got me like, man, depend on God, trust on God, and hear what he has to say. On another side, you got, well, God ain't doing it for us right now. Well, this is slow motion. When you go downtown and you tell people that you're not asking for money, some people gonna buy right past you because you done told them you don't need $1. In reality, I need that $1.
So, how long were you in the hospital?
I was in the hospital for 6 months.
And then how long after you got shot did you lose your fiance? She didn't pass from the cancer, did she?
Nah, she actually beat the cancer 2 months ago. I'll say it's a separation right now. It's a walk, man, with God. Like, I can't let nobody come in between that. that walk that I have with him, my faith. When I wish I could tell, if I had anything to tell her, I would tell her that everything that God has done for us, He's covered us, and we have to see that. He covered us for us to cover our kids. Sometimes we got to take on stuff in our lives so our kids don't have to take on them battles. So our kids don't have to take on them storms. My daughters will be 2 in September the 8th. They never had a bad moment in their life. They don't know a struggle. They don't know that their dad, Kate, been down and picked them up. They don't know what it feels like to go through this storm, even though they going through it right with us. They probably want us to be together because when we are together, they see that bond, and they see it. They want us. They, as being kids, I can see that in them. She has a 7-year-old son who is my stepson, well 8, and even him, man, he been a process for me. He helped me get over my childhood trauma with dealing with situations with him. Like, it's just been a battle, man, when you have to separate yourself from people. I don't talk to my mom. I don't talk to my dad. You know.
Tell me about seminary school. You said you were in seminary school.
Yeah.
It's called seminary school, right?
Yeah, man, I've been a youth minister since the age of 16. I actually got ordained at Corinthian Missionary Baptist Church. I was running from God, man. My dad got out of the penitentiary right after I started preaching. I became homeless for the first time, being a product of my environment, being pivoted from being surrounded by too much indulgence, meaning as in sometimes we already come into the situation. We already born into whatever situation we gonna be born into. My grandma was a gambler. She had custody of me, but anybody that wanted me could get me. I'm writing a book called Justice for My Inner Childhood, and I don't want to give too much, but I'll enlighten you on what this book is about. From the age of 3 to 7, I stayed in a place called Smithville, Tennessee. Everybody there was molested but me. When I came back here, in most black families, we taught that whatever happens in this house stays in this house. We don't talk outside this house. So I didn't talk outside the house. I never got counseling. I never got help. But I had a prayer life already at the age of 3. I was already praying heavily. And God saw that in me. He covered me. God started to use me. So once I hit 16, like I said, I got ordained. But a lot of stuff had happened in my life, and it went astray. 2010, my brother was murdered. I held that in because coming back from Smithville to here, me not speaking on that, I gave opportunity for him to be molested. I dealt with that trauma for so long. My stepson went through a situation, and that's how I was able to deal with that trauma. By me looking at a 7-year-old and say, I went through this same situation you went through. You don't have to be alone, but we do have to talk about it, and we do have to get you help, because holding it in, I don't want your future to be anything close to mine. Going to American Baptist College was the best choice I could have made. It took me up from being homeless, because leaving my twins' mom, it was like a battle where I'm left with a wheelchair, I'm left with a walker, I'm left with a cane to get up and down the street. I can't move, my mobility sucks. If I'm not medicated, then I can barely get up out the bed. This school has done a lot for me. Since I've been there, having people pray for me, that's how I was able to get up out the wheelchair. Because people was praying for me. People not only heard my humble cry, they was able to pray for me too.
How long were you in the wheelchair?
I just recently got out of the wheelchair. I was in there for a year and a half. American Baptist College is a great school. You have great people there who really care about you sincerely. So sometimes story can change. Our stories can change. My story can change. It don't have to just be Cordell shot at a restaurant and now he's paralyzed and now he's hopeless and he don't see no hope in the future. He lost his fiancé. He separated from his kids. He can't barely see them on the weekend. No one started a GoFundMe. No one advocated for him. But hey, my story is what I make it, and I'm trying to make it the best that it is. This school teaching me to be a leader. It's not teaching me to be a follower. It's teaching me that I can be a leader. It's teaching me social skills to where I had PTSD really bad, and I had to watch everyone's hands. The school has taught me be sociable because not everyone is out to harm you. Not everyone is meant for bad. We don't know the network we can use with people. Had I not been down here and had I not been advocating, I wouldn't have got to run into you.
Absolutely. So, what does help look like? Like, if somebody sees this story and they have the means to provide help, what would that look like?
Man, in the summertime, we can't stay on campus. $80 a night helps me get a hotel room. Providing diapers and wipes for my kids. My name Cordell Crutcher, like I said, 1800 Baptist World Center Drive is where the school is located. If you drop off food there, if you drop off diapers and wipes, I have Venmo, which is 615-638-2499. Cash App is the same number. If you can do anything, anything is helpful. If you pray for me when you lay your head down and say, bless him financially, bless his kids, help him to keep doing what he's doing. If you come downtown and you see a homeless person, you don't know the people behind the signs. We don't know what they've actually been through. Don't overlook these people. A sleeping bag will help them. A meal will help them. You going down there and talk to them will help them. Anything you can do to advocate will help them.
So, a lot of people in your situation probably would feel hopeless, right?
Yeah.
Like you mentioned hopelessness.
Yeah.
So, have you felt that way?
No.
You didn't? You
No.
haven't at all?
No, because I was blessed, man. I was not supposed to be alive. I was sitting on the ground, and one went straight through my rectum, and it traveled to my abdominal. And I could feel myself. I could feel everything blowing up in the inside of me. I could feel myself as I'm praying to God, just give me a chance, just give me a chance. You know my heart. He gave me that chance, so why would I feel hopeless? When I know all hope is in him, all strength is in him. I can do all things according to he who strengthens me. He give me strength, because I could have been far off worse. I could have stayed in a wheelchair, but he's blessing me slowly but surely according to my faith. He wants me to have faith. He called me out of darkness into a marvelous light. So this light is about me getting closer to him. Why feel hopeless when we might not have the help we need when we want it? And that's what it is. It's on our time. We want it on our time sometimes. That's where the hopelessness comes in at. Because it's like, it ain't happening for me right now. But that don't mean it's not going to happen. So whoever doesn't have that hope, I ask that you just please put it in your heart to find that hope. Because look at me in my situation. I do not supposed to be moving the way I am. But God can and he will do it for you. But it's according to our faith. He said, have the faith of a mustard seed. That's small, really small. So just a little bit of faith can do it for us. We don't know where our help gonna come in at. But if we hopeless and we living in depression and we living in, God said, those who are heavily burdened come and I will give you rest. He gave me rest because he gave me a chance to stop and listen to him. He gave me a chance to hear his heart. He gave me a chance to cry out to him, to cry out to the people. He gave me a chance. So that chance ain't for me to sit in pity.
You said your dad was in prison.
Yeah.
How did that affect you?
It didn't affect me till after he got out of prison. Being in prison, we give our kids a lot of hope from the cell. I say my dad built me up. He made me think that he was a person of change. From the age of 13 on up until he got out, me and him, we did a non-profit organization called Umbrella of Love. Me and him, we advocated. I watched my dad take care of me behind prison. Every visitation I had, my dad had $200-300 from me. I didn't ask him where the money came from. I didn't ask him what he was doing to get the money. It was a shocking to me for me to go into a penitentiary and watch somebody give me money. Christmas, holidays, my dad sent money out. I looked up to him. When my dad got out of jail, I watched how the streets can suck you in, how hopelessness can suck you in, how a person can never do drugs a day in their life and get sucked into doing it off of your mindset, for what you see, not being able to use a cell phone, not being able to use a computer. Technology changes for them. The world changes for them. Not being able to get a job, having a businessman mind frame, but you can't get your business going because you don't have investors. Having your son to be a minister and you feel like, what can I do for him? I can't do nothing for him. I don't have a home to take him to. Man, my mama's supposed to have custody of him. She get food stamps for him, but he ain't never lived with her really. I understand. My dad went before me. He got to go to the penitentiary before me. Thank God I never had to go to the penitentiary. Why? Because my dad had to go through that. That was his storm and his struggle. I got shot for my kids, so thank God they don't have to go through that. That's what it taught me. It taught me sometimes in life ain't always peaches and cream. When we think everything is glittering and gold, sometimes it can change in a second.
What about mom?
My mom has always been on drugs my whole life. My mom is still on drugs, still the cream of my world. Every time I see her, I get to joke with her, I get to laugh with her. When I pulled it, I hadn't seen my mom in a year. When I seen the ambulance pull into Vanderbilt, she was the first face I seen.
After you got shot?
Right after. Pulling into the hospital, she was the first face I seen. So that let me know that she knows what's going on with me without me being around. That lets me know that she got a heart, she loved me, because if she didn't, she wouldn't have came. She the first face I seen. She was opening up the ambulance door before they got a chance to. So sometimes, man, like Pac said, even as a crack fiend, you're still a black queen. And sometimes, man, we as people, it's just depression, man. It keeps us in those addictions. When we don't go and get the right help that we need, it keeps us in the foundation that we in. I look at myself as Joseph. In the Bible, it talks about how Joseph was thrown into a pit, was sold away from his family. He had to go to this place, that place, this place, that place. I talked to you about how 3 years old I was somewhere. 7 years old, I came back here. I told you about how I house hopped and I lived with family member, this family member, how I had to be homeless at 16. I'm homeless now almost. Man.
Tell me about the first night you spent on the street at 16, if you can remember.
Man. The first night, I was mad because I was staying with my stepmom at the time. I was happy because her house was, as a kid growing up, I could say was the safest house I ever been in. Her house was the most godliest house I ever been in. When I started preaching in her house, everything began to be more of a light. My stepsister started preaching the same time I did. My dad got out and, just being on drugs, she didn't want us to open up the door for him. I did. My dad came in and stole money. Being on drugs, I didn't know that. So we both had to leave the house. I was forced to be homeless. I was mad the first night because I'm like, here it is, I'm preaching, I'm doing the right thing, and I gotta be forced to be put on the streets. I went to my granny who's supposed to have custody of me, and I'm like, well, I'm still in the 11th grade. I got one more year to go before I graduate. Like, I can't do that on the streets. God showed me, yes, you can. That first night, I told myself, if I could work, I don't need people. It got me cocky in a way. It made me feel like I ain't have to ask people for nothing. This slowed me down and showed me, yeah, you do need to ask people for something. You do need help. Don't feel cocky and feel like that's just enough for you, because sometimes God, he'll take away the things that you use it to build you. You know what I'm saying? I was using that to keep me going, to feel like that's all I needed. But being 16 years old, I went and bought a Bonneville. Me and my brother, we stayed out of that Bonneville. We lived out of that Bonneville. I graduated from Stratford High School 2010.
So how old are you?
I'm 31. My teachers at the time didn't know I was homeless. I kept a smile on my face like I do now. Once they found out that I was homeless, it shocked them, because here it is, someone that comes to their class every day. I'm helping the rest of my peers. I'm even saying encouraging words to them. And I never not acknowledged myself as being a youth minister. So they knew who I was. They knew what my calling was. So for them to hear that I was faithful with God, even though I was going through all of that, I just knew God was going to take me through a test. It ain't supposed to be easy when God using you. It's supposed to be hard. I didn't know the storm was going to be this hard. I was prepared for it, just like I'm prepared for it now. It's meant to be hard, man.
So I'm gonna ask you this, just because people who are watching are gonna want me to ask. But have you ever used drugs?
Have I ever used drugs? Yes, sir. I used marijuana before. I use marijuana. I can't use big drugs. I never have, never been able to. This is gonna be funny with me saying, but even with me being shot, I went through all of this pain, man, and I'm still going through pain, and I don't even take my medication. I do not. I get prescribed Percocets. I barely even take my medication. I gotta be hurting for me to really take it. I stopped going to the pain clinic because it's like I'm going for no reason. I don't even. Man, God will use you when He wants to. He'll give you strength. He's my anointing. I used drugs when I was young. I smoked marijuana when I was young. When I was in middle school, wanted to fit in. All the time, we ain't got to fit in because God could use us. A lot of people down here that do help me. I can say this. Everybody that has helped me has said, I'm only helping you because you look sober. And they was absolutely right. I'm sober. I don't smoke. I don't drink. Cigarettes is the most it get, but nah.
Look, I appreciate you sharing your story with me.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna take a couple shots.
Yes, sir.
You got anything you want to say, like in closing? Like you said, I think I got some powerful stuff from you already, and I feel like it's just no way people are gonna see this story and not reach out. So
I just thank everybody that does have the heart to even stop and listen. This is a ministry for me to come out here and be able to talk, being in my situation and what I've been through. This is joy for me. This is joy for me. These are tears of joy right now. For me to know that my life ain't in vain. To know that I laid on the ground and I prayed to God to just save me. To know that He did save me. To know that He has covered me. To have to live on the streets is hard. But to know that God is using me to advocate for other people, that's a joy, man. For me to walk past kids and me to be able to tell them what God can and will do for you is joy for me. For me to walk past and give a homeless person a meal is joy for me. You don't know the person behind the side. You don't know what they've been through. For me to go through all of this, for me to do this for my twins, that's the biggest light for me. If you look up Cordell, Cordell, last name Crutcher, Crutcatr. If you look up the news clip, they're going to show you what my twins weren't even born yet. My twins going to be 2 years old. Every day I got to put faith in God. Some people going to tell you that's hard to do. Some people don't even know God. But when they get put into this situation, they going to come running and say, what must I do to be saved? I'm glad I got a chance to know Him at a young age. At 3 years old, already going through stuff, but you can pray your way out of those situations. That's enough for me. Depression can't hold me. Anxiety can't hold me. PTSD can't hold me. Fear can't hold me. Everything that I'm going through now, I promise you, it will get better. There is light at the end of the tunnel. I thank you for listening to my story. I thank you for sharing tears with me if you cry those same tears. But let them be tears of joy because this ain't pain for me. This ain't hurt for me. Yeah, it's a struggle, but guess what? We all got to go through a struggle to get to where we going in life. This is peace for me to know that I can advocate and I can talk to people. This is joy knowing that there is someone else out there that has a heart and they care what people going through, man. This is a life for me. I ask everybody to be safe. Be safe wherever you are. Anything can happen. We had a church shooting down here. We had a Waffle House shooting. We had a lady went inside a school where kids was. We gotta be safe. We gotta stay prayed up because we can't do nothing without God. First and foremost, when you lay your head down at night, pray for people around you. Don't just walk around passing these homeless people because we don't know their story. We don't know their pain. We don't know what they've been through. I hug these people every day. And I used to tell myself, I'm not finna touch them because they homeless. I don't know what type of sickness they got. You gotta hug these people because they just want to feel acknowledged as people. Some of them might use drugs. So hug them. Tell them that you care about them. Acknowledge these people. I got kids and I'm going through this. My kids matter. This job overlooked my kids. They could have overlooked me because I've been overlooked so many times. And I can't overlook my kids. I can't overlook their life because it's precious. Their middle name is Grace, both of them. They my saving grace. They my grace. They my grace. And I'm thankful for them. I ask that everybody just have a heart. Have a heart. Walk past people and tell them that you care about them. I go to St. Luke CME on Ed Temple Boulevard. If you see this story and you don't have a church home, let that be your church home. Because you got good people there like me who do care about you. I pray for every individual in this world. I pray that you covered and that you blessed throughout your storm and your struggle. That's the biggest thing I can say.